Okay, hi everybody in the Evolution of Jazz class at the University of North Florida. I'm here with one of my best friends who is one of the great guitar players of the world. This is Joe Caro. We used to play a lot together in New York. We're out here in Hawaii. Joe, I just wondered if you could talk for a few minutes just about, I know you play all different styles of guitar, but blues is very important, and especially, some of the great guitar heroes that you've listened to. How did you get into it? What were some of the first things that you listened to? And thinking for kids that have seen guitar players but really don't know much about the history.
Well, for me, I would say a roundabout way, like most people in my generation. I first started listening to the Cream, Eric Clapton, and Led Zeppelin, and groups like that, the Rolling Stones, that were primarily based in blues music. And I didn't even know who some of those original artists were, like Robert Johnson and John Lee Hooker and Muddy Waters. And I kind of got into it in a roundabout way by listening to their music and then understanding who their influences were. And as I progressed, I basically started trying to delve into the roots of what that British rock genre was.
Great. Did jazz have a play in this or in your life?
It did, and it basically, at one point in time for me, as a musician, being a kid, I grew up in rock bands that played and covered all that music. But then at one point in time, I realized that if I wanted to pursue being a musician, and my garage band friends didn't want to, that the music that really lends itself more to being an individual and being able to play with different people, because you all know the same music, the same songs. Jazz became a vehicle to basically just be a solo musician who can play with other people without having to constantly be in a rehearsal situation or a garage band situation. So once you learn all the classic genre of jazz music, you can play with people who you've never met before because they all know the same songs.
Right, so it's a common ground.
Yeah.
And for those that don't really understand much about the jazz and just what the guitar does in terms of its function, I'm just thinking, in terms of for you, did you find yourself attracted to being more of a soloist or a section player or everything?
Well, I spent most of my career playing as a studio musician, so that really became something where you really have to learn not only to play well with others, but to hang out well with others, which is just as important, really. And it ends up being a situation where you really try to add something to the whole group, and if you can't, then you just sit back and let the music happen without stepping out. And then if you think you have something that really adds to the whole piece of it, you take the risk and jump off.
Cool. You want to play for a couple seconds?
Sure. Well, then I'll just speak for a moment. Although I made my living as an electric guitarist in recording sessions, this is called a Weissenborn.
Okay.
And it was basically invented by a guy, I think his name was Herman Weissenborn, in the 20s in Los Angeles, and there are very few of them left on the planet. This isn't an original, it's a copy, but it's a pretty specific sound that most of the time lends itself to being played in the blues genre. So basically you play it with a slide. It's kind of like a lap acoustic, and it's got a great sound to it, a classic sound, and sounds like this.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Great.